Hey, good evening, guys. This is Nathan from RunDreamAchieve.com. Tonight's video I'm going to make on a question that I received from one of my subscribers. Her name's Kim. She's asking me, how do you run under 1 hour and 20 minutes for the half marathon? Now, that is more in the lines of an elite. That's definitely an elite time for females or really for males either. I mean, you're getting, once you're under 120, under 110, you're really pushing that physiological envelope. So for a female to go under 1 hour and 20 minutes, you really have to um, become very, very razor sharp focused on holding well under 6 minute mile pace because a 1 hour and 19 minute and 59 second half marathon that comes out to 6 minutes and 6 seconds per mile. So I highly recommend, Kim, that one, obviously you're going to have to focus on volume. You do want to have at least anywhere from 50 to 90 miles a week. You don't necessarily have to go that high quite up to 90 miles a week, but you want to have plenty of quality workouts. I'm talking the aerobic capacity workouts that I've discussed in past videos where you're getting on the track and you're practicing running uh, obviously short bursts at like 450 mile pace, between 450 and 520 pace. So you're getting your body accustomed to running far below 6 minute and 6 second mile pace. Obviously, there's going to be a great deal of stamina involved trying to hold 6:06 per mile for 13.1 miles. I mean, that's the average. So um, you have to become very, very well accustomed to being able to sustain that type of pace and to for it to feel relatively comfortable. You don't want to get 2 or 3 miles into that race and feel like you're fatigued that early. So to be able to sustain that pace for 13.1 miles, if it was me, I would be spending a great deal of time, um, obviously doing my long runs at a quick pace. Like I said, I always alternate one hard long run followed by one easy long run. I would probably branch my long run out to about between 16 to 20 miles in length. You definitely want to you want to make sure your long run is further, obviously, than the half marathon, but you also want to be able to increase the pace of that long run and keep your heart rate high. Keep it, I mean, not every single weekend. It should be an alternating one hard long run followed by one easier long run. That way you can recover from those really, really fatiguing, taxing, harder long run efforts that I recommend. That's kind of like what I had to do to go from 110 to 107.06. It helped me tremendously going from 243 to 219 for the marathon. So, in terms of what do you need to do, you're like I said, you're going after an elite time, Kim. It tells me a lot already about you that you're obviously extremely talented, hardworking, focused, driven, all the characteristics of somebody that's wanting to run that fast. Kudos to you for wanting to break that time. That's a fast time for a male or a female, regardless. Super fast. So placing a high emphasis on those really, really hard anaerobic efforts, more like the aerobic capacity workouts where your heart rate's up above 175. That's really going to, workouts like finding between a 200 and a 600 meter hill and doing like 10 to 14 reps up it, all out going up, and either walking and jogging going down. That way, you're really stressing. You're really getting those fast twitch muscle fibers that recruitment that you need to be able to teach the body to clear lactic acid faster than it's building up. Um, if it was me, also, I would be definitely doing. I would recommend obviously getting on the track and doing 6 by a mile, 6 times 1 mile repeats. If it was me going for a sub 120, trying to hold 6:06 mile pace, I would be aiming on doing my mile repeats around 525 to 535 per rep. That way you're getting used to running, well faster, well below your goal half marathon race pace. That's more toward maybe your 10K race pace. You really have to obviously have an emphasis more on quality mileage rather than just junk miles. Obviously, the more competitive you get and the faster you're trying to run, obviously much more is asked of you. So it's that old saying that much is too much who's for much that has been given, much is also asked. So there's a lot more that's required of athletes. Not to take anything away from athletes that maybe are trying to break a 6-hour marathon, or maybe trying to break 4 hours for the half marathon, or a 3-hour half marathon. Everybody's got to work hard. But obviously, when you're running, you're trying to run these types of elite times, you have to become very, very razor focused in your preparation to be able to get to a point where you're able to sustain that pace without slowing down, and you're able to make those reactions when somebody throws a surge during the race. You can react to that movement, and the only way to be able to do that, obviously, is fast running and doing it often. I just wrote a post today about breaking the 4-hour marathon. Obviously, it's a different pace, and obviously not somebody is trying to break an hour and 20 minutes for a half marathon, but still the same principles apply for somebody trying to run this fast. You're going to have to speed up your long runs. If you notice that you're putting in the volume, you're putting in the distance, but maybe your weekly percentage of your weekly mileage is run too slow. Look at your training log and see how you're setting up your training. If maybe like 10 to 15% of your weekly volume is spent, only 10 to 15% of your volume is spent below 6-minute and 6-second mile pace, then you have to make some adjustments. Obviously, you can't just go out and run long and slow for 15 to 20 miles. Now, obviously, I don't know you, so it's kind of hard for me to see where your fitness is at, Kim. But I can tell you just from my own experience and my own preparation, I always tried to train anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, or possibly sometimes even over a minute faster than I was trying to race for a half marathon, and the same goes for the marathon. Obviously, it's extremely intense trying to run. Say for your example, 6:06 mile pace, what you need to hold to go out and try to run 5:06 mile pace and a full minute faster. You obviously will find that to be very, very uncomfortable, but that's what you need to do. You need to get on the track, get out there and do those really, really hard, intense, like 10 to 16 200-meter repeats at say around 4:55 to 5:10 mile pace. Obviously, you can't spend that much time. It'd be like me as a 2:19 marathoner. I've run 5:19 pace for the marathon. It'd be like me going out and trying to hold 4:19 mile pace. Obviously, I'm not gonna be able to do that. My all-time best mile ever was 4:22. So, but I can spend a little bit of time during the week at that pace, or maybe and even under 4-minute mile pace. I've spent a lot of time too at that. Going out there and doing 200s at like 26 to 29 seconds per rep. Obviously, that's sub 4-minute mile pace, but those types of workouts, you want to get, spend that time training at such a high, anaerobic effort that your body's gonna adapt over, obviously an extended amount of time, and you're gonna get to a point where 6:06 mile pace feels a lot more manageable, and because you've done that, coupled with your weekly volume, your long runs, doing those long runs at a higher heart rate. I recommend around 160. That's about 85% of most athletes' maximum heart rate. It's around there, anyways. Just kind of hovering right around 160. That's how I dropped my half marathon down and my marathon PRs down significantly, because I increased the pace of my long runs. I was running long, but obviously I wasn't running fast enough and teaching myself to run long periods of time at a very high intensity. So obviously, there's a lot of other things that go into breaking 120 for the half marathon. You gotta obviously get plenty of rest. I know you're doing that. I know you're probably hydrating very well. But just more specific type of workouts, getting out there and doing those anaerobic threshold runs, those tempo runs. Get to a point where as you get fitter, obviously you're not going to be able to go out and do a 6 to 10 mile tempo run the first week or the second week of your training block, running at your anaerobic threshold. Anaerobic threshold's right around between 164 and 174 heart rate. Obviously, I know for you, Kim, even asking about breaking a 120 half marathon, most of this stuff is going to be that I've covered. Probably is already you're very well educated on this. You already know a lot of this. Um, I'm just sharing some tips. You're at a point where you're already an elite athlete yourself. Um, but just in my own background, just be patient with yourself. You have to obviously you have to build up your volume, get up to about where you're doing consistent mileage weeks of anywhere from 50 to 90 miles a week. I think for a half marathon, you can still run an elite half marathon time running in that ballpark. You might be a lower, like I said, I don't know enough about you yet to really go into specifics, but um, if all you can put in, if you're working a full-time job and all you can put in is 40 miles a week or 30 miles a week, obviously you can still run an elite time by doing even that much, but you really have to focus on zeroing in on the percentage of your weekly volume uh, that you're spending below 606 mile pace. If too much of your weekly volume is spent running too slow, it's going to leave you second guessing yourself and thinking either your best running is behind you, or you're too old, or you maybe don't have the talent. Usually that's not the case for most athletes. It's looking at your weekly training volume, training workouts, and looking at what are you doing throughout the week, and are you spending enough time training at a very, very high heart rate for an extended period of time. Obviously, the types of workouts like aerobic capacity workouts I mentioned, those 200 repeats, 400 repeats, 600s, repeat 800s, where you're obviously running far faster than you're going to expect to run for a half marathon. Those are very, very key to get under 1 hour and 20 minutes. Um, like I said, a 606 per mile pace for 13 miles, that is very, very, you've got to be very, very fit to do that. And like I said, for you to ask that, it already shows me how advanced you already are. I wish you the very, very best of luck in getting under that standard, and I look forward to hearing when you finally do it. Like I said, I don't have all the answers, but I can only speak from my own background and try to share what I would do. Like I said, I would definitely focus on training, having enough easy mileage during the week so you can recover from the workouts, but obviously not running 90% of your weekly volume a minute to 2 minutes slower than your goal half marathon race pace. That's not going to prepare you to get to under 120. So, and obviously I know that's probably not where you're at. You're probably already spending a great deal of time training at a high heart rate and at higher intensities, and you're trying to get to that point where you can finally get under an hour and 20 minutes. So like I said, be patient with yourself, spend more time at a higher heart rate, running at a higher heart rate for a longer period of time on those long runs. Alternate one harder long run followed by the following week by a absolutely relaxed jog the following week. All the benefits from these workouts that we do, regardless of what level we're at, the benefits come in the rest. So you have to be just as disciplined to to back off and to go very, very easy on those recovery days as you do to go out and do those hard tempo runs that we talked about, and doing those hard anaerobic, those anaerobic threshold runs, those aerobic capacity workouts on the track. So, like I said, if you spend more time getting at around 450 to 530 pace, anything under 606, spend some time hovering around 630 pace, so you get a mixture of that would probably be more around your anaerobic threshold pace. It might be 640, 630, 620s. Not quite race pace, but quality running. Definitely spend time there. Really take it easy on your recovery days, and like I said, there's a lot of things that go into running that type of time. Focus on your hydration. Research what glutathione is. I've written quite a bit about it on RunDreamAchieve.com, and a lot of endurance athletes know nothing about it. So definitely either go to the archives on RunDreamAchieve.com and read some of the articles I've written about it, or you can go to just Google PubMed, PubMed, and that is the internet authority basically on medical reviewed articles. And if you type in glutathione, you'll find I think it's about 145,000 articles that have been written about it. So when it comes to running fast, obviously the body's ability to obviously clear lactic acid faster than it's building up, and oxygen transport while we're running at that type of intensity is critically important, as is hydrating well and taking in enough calories during the race. If you don't hydrate and don't take in enough fluid, don't take in enough calories, obviously, sometimes you can do all the things correctly in training and get to a point where you just cannot sustain the pace because your body is just desperately needs that fluid and those calories. Spend some time during the week, obviously, and not just during the week, during your whole training block leading up to this half marathon. Visualize seeing yourself going under an hour and 20 minutes. See that time on the clock, 1:19:59 or 1:19:30, whatever it is. The power of the mind is absolutely essential. Training the mind to be able to do something before it's done. You have to see it in your mind first, Kim, definitely, before it ever becomes a reality. Just to give you my background, I mean, I was a 2:43 marathoner. I could see myself breaking 2 hours and 22 minutes. That was my goal. But when you're still, minutes away from doing it, sometimes several minutes away from doing it, it sometimes seems impossible to fathom yourself actually doing it. But if you mix up training at the proper intensities like we've covered here, coupled with mental training and visualization, you will definitely get to a point where you're able to sustain this pace. The great Billy Mills said it best. He said, the subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between reality and imagination. So the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. So it's very, very important. So if you say you're at like 132 right now, or maybe 140, and you're trying to get under 120, you might be even faster. I really don't know, but it doesn't know the difference. So prepare yourself to get to a point, prepare often running far below 6 minutes and 6 seconds per mile pace. That is the absolute key. Obviously, and take it easy on those recovery days. Don't be afraid to jog. If you've done a track workout on, say, like a Monday, and you go out with a group on a Tuesday run, be very cognizant of your pace. If they're taking off on your run, and you did that workout yesterday, that hard track session yesterday, then you have to back off. So be very cognizant of your weekly training, especially when you're in a group, because it's very easy to take off at a faster pace with somebody else. So hopefully some of these tips have been helpful for you, Kim. Feel free to leave me another comment and let me know if there's like something I didn't cover in this video that you need answered. I really appreciate the comments that I get on these videos, and it really helps me get to a point where I can kind of narrow down what specific issue my subscribers are having. So if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel and this is the first video you've seen of me, please feel free to subscribe. Click the subscribe button and then click on the bell icon. That way, when I make new videos, you'll be the first to get updates every time a new video has been made. I'll leave some links at the bottom of the description of this video as well. That'll help you in your quest to get under an hour and 20 minutes. Some of the articles that I've written that have to do with optimal performance. Like I said, some of this may be very, very, you already know some about it. Like I said, for somebody to ask me how to break an hour in 20 minutes, that already tells me you're at a very, very high level, elite type athlete. So there's much more that's involved, and I have covered a little bit with this particular question in this video, I hope. So anyways, so have a great evening. I appreciate your question, Kim, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Have a great evening. Take care.